Welcome to Geeks Worldwide presents Preston and Key. I am, of course, your host, Michael Schluger, and this is episode 286. We took a little break last week for the eclipse and a bunch of other reasons, but we are back, and I'm super excited to reintroduce a guest host that has not been with us for, I want to say, like a year at this point, if not
Sounds
a little
about
longer. Right. Yeah. Connor Howard, welcome back.
It's good to be back. Thank you very much. The prodigal son returns thanks to fixing some hardware and internet issues. And it's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Very cool. We have a lot of stuff to talk about. And of course, Jay Rich joins us. It's been a couple of weeks for you as well, sir.
Been a couple of weeks, been busy at work, but glad to be back in the swing of things.
Absolutely. So it's been kind of a busy week, right? GDC is over. It wasn't GDC, was it? It was Gamescom.
Gamescom.
Yeah, that's right.
Gamescom. Not too much crazy news came out of Gamescom.
Depends on what you were looking for.
I guess. None of our stories really have to do with Gamescom at all. I didn't really see too much out there. What we do have
a lot of Blizzard stuff as usual. Blizzard kind of uses Gamescom as like their like pre-BlizzCon show usually. Like Blizzard has a pretty big presence there, but most other North American companies don't really. Like you get a little bit from other places, but mostly you get a lot of like indie European games showing up.
Right.
Yeah, a few trailers here and there, but nothing on the E3 level of trailers and announcements.
Yeah, unless you're Blizzard, in which case you don't go to E3.
Of course.
Come instead, because you have to do everything different than everybody else forever.
So
because you're so special.
Because you're so special.
A lot of stories about like AR VR stuff. So before that, let's talk about a little bit about GameStop. Before we dive into all the AR VR stuff. So GameStop, two interesting stories regarding GameStop. The first has to do with they issued a sales report. And what was interesting about the sales report is it hints at the fact that what we all knew to be true, Xbox One isn't doing so hot. Microsoft has stopped reporting sales numbers for Xbox, so we don't really have a good idea of where they're at. But when you get a report like this from GameStop, it gives us a sort of peek. And so what they said was that new software sales were down 3.4%, and pre-owned software sales were down 7.5%. And they blamed lagging Microsoft performance for those dips in sales numbers. So Microsoft, you're not pulling your weight. What'd you guys think of this? I wasn't terribly surprised.
No, it doesn't really come as much of a shock to me either. It's harder to pin down why it's happening. I mean, it's definitely happening, but I think a big reason. I do feel like Xbox is kind of losing the battle of the exclusives, and I think when you're talking about
it has been losing them.
Oh yeah, for sure. And when you're talking about consoles, exclusives are a hugely important, selling point. That's what the thing I would point to the most. But
you guys, I'll throw a question out. Do you think that people are sort of holding out for the Xbox One X, and maybe that's why they're not buying stuff?
That could be part of it too.
Have they been holding out for the Xbox One X since the system launched and before they announced the Xbox One X? Everyone just as soon as the Xbox One announced, we were like, let's hold off. And that's why
let's see what else they come up with.
That's why
it's going to be good.
Been dog shit the entire time. I don't know.
I think it's a combination of like just the library's not that strong. I think the online experience that Sony has been putting together has been very robust and very competitive, and I think Xbox has had a hard time competing with that. I think that kind of shot the X-Bone in the leg a little bit from the get-go, and the fact that they don't seem to be that Microsoft doesn't really seem to be committing to that platform like we see with the upgrades and the S and the X or whatever. That might be exacerbating it.
Yeah. Well, so one of the stories that didn't make the cut today was the fact that Crackdown 3 had been delayed. And what the story noted was that every other game that was announced alongside Crackdown 3, which was, I think, in 2014, if I'm not wrong, or 2014, 2015, was canceled with the exception of the Halo Master Chief Collection, which was just a,
obviously it was never going to get canceled. Yeah,
that's going to happen no matter what.
Yeah. So every other game that they talked about, like Scalebound, and there was another one on the list, they all got canceled. None of them came to fruition.
Oh, wow. I forgot about that. I forgot that Crackdown 2 was announced that long ago. I thought it was like such a recent thing.
Well, it was sad. Announced along with that like big wave of like, here's all the amazing exclusives we're gonna have, and then just kidding, you're not gonna get any of them. Actually, is the
wop wop wop.
Yeah, sad trombone.mp4. Like
that's right. That's right.
It's
jeez.
So so Xbox.
See, we took that story off so we wouldn't just be like, and Microsoft sucks. Like,
and here we are. It happened anyway.
Microsoft
love finds a way.
They're in a tough spot. They're in a tough spot, and the next couple of months I think are going to be kind of key. But with the Switch doing so well, it's going to be a tough sell. However,
does it like? Do you have to go like take medicine after you say that the Switch is doing well? Like, do you have to go take antidepressants?
I do have to like vomit, hold back the vomit. Just
that's
Hey, they had a long way to climb back up after the Wii U. I mean, there was only nowhere to go but up after the Wii U.
No, don't say there's only nowhere to go but up. Nintendo could have found a way to
anyone could do it. It was Nintendo.
Yeah, they could have found a way to crack through that bedrock and just straight into the core of the earth. Like,
I'm still kind of waiting for people to realize it's not a good system, but I'm just going to hold my tongue at this point.
The gimmicks are holding up for now.
I was going to say, you can keep waiting. I don't. You're going to be waiting a while, though, I think.
I mean, listen, the like the Wii initially was super successful, but there's only a handful of games I think that people ever cared about from that system. So
yeah, it didn't matter. It was the cheapest way you could watch a Netflix at home. That's so like for the longest time, buying a Wii for $75 was way cheaper.
I bought one and it gathered dust for a very long time.
You could kind of say the same thing about the GameCube a little bit. I mean, where it's like it was successful at the time, but like when looking back on it, the library, you don't really, you only know a handful of games from the GameCube that were really successful. Those were all first party mostly.
Don't worry, I'm sure that Nintendo will remind us all after they release the mini N64 or the N64 Classic, and then
did anyone get a SNES Classic? Anyone get a pre-order for it?
No,
bummer.
Nah,
sad life.
Yeah,
because emulators exist. Why would I want one?
I missed the pre-orders as most people did because they went up at like whatever it was 1:30 a.m. and then I honestly completely forgot that it was coming out the 29th, and so by now I'm sure everything is sold out. I tried calling one Toys R Us, and they hung up on me, and then when I called back, I was just put on hold. And after like 12 minutes on hold, I was like, I have better things to do with my life. And I hung up. And I'll just hope that Nintendo somehow manages this one time to get their shit together and, make it available or something.
Yeah, it does seem like...
Yeah.
It does seem like they had an issue of overproducing units with the Wii U, coming back to the Wii U, that they're like kind of overcorrecting and not making anywhere near enough because they don't want to overproduce again. That's my guess. Like, they don't want to be sitting with warehouses full of stuff they can't sell, I guess.
It's more false scarcity from Nintendo. Like they know, like after the NES Classic, they know damn well how many people would buy an SNES Classic, and they are purposely underproducing it. Which is weird because Nintendo hates scalping so much, and they hate that whole like.
I find that hard to believe because everything they do encourages scalping.
Well, I find it hard to believe, but that doesn't change the fact that their PR team has been very clear about the fact that they hate third-party markets for their stuff, and they don't think it's a good way to operate. Like, it's the same way when Wizards of the Coast says that about Magic cards. They're like, "Oh, we don't support the third-party market." Well, it's like, well, you do though. So, and you can't pretend that you don't. Like,
I might try my luck at the Nintendo store in New York City. We'll see. I have to.
Bring a gun. That'd be my suggestion. If you
I don't need to bring a gun. I'll bring like a pizza, and then I'll just hand out, a slice if someone lets me skip their spot.
Oh, there you go.
That's the New York way. We don't need guns. This isn't Texas. This isn't like I don't know.
I was just saying,
bring a Texas, gun. You need buckets.
You can definitely get.
I can definitely get the police called on me. That's what I can.
Oh, that's fine.
But focusing back on GameStop, there is a positive GameStop story that has to do with EB Games. EB Games obviously used to be a competitor, was bought out by GameStop. They're the same company now. And the EB Games in Australia, of all places, is doing a test program where you can borrow any used game from their store, from the physical store, for about $16 a month in US. It's a little different for Australian. I think in Australian it's 23. Yeah,
something like that.
Oh no, 23 is for 2 games, 16 is for 1. Those are in US prices. So this is actually really cool. I mean, obviously here we have GameFly. I'm sure GameFly exists in Australia, but you gotta wait for the mail to come. This most people, I imagine, have a GameStop within like a mile of them or something like that. In the US alone, it's got like 4,000 stores. I can walk to one if I wanted to. So this is a really cool, program. If this was unveiled in the US, would you guys participate? Would you guys try it out?
It's possible. It depends on what's available in their program. Because just thinking about,
they said anything in the store.
Anything in the store. That's not bad.
Anything that is pre-owned in the store.
It's cool.
Okay.
I can't see myself participating in it because my console gaming is so limited. These days,
that's fair.
I have a PS4 Pro because I'm stupid and I bought one. And I bought it just so I could see what the couple games that work in 4K look like in 4K. That's basically why I bought it. And they look real cool, but I have one. I barely play it as is, and I mostly play games on PC, and obviously that's not really gonna work with that. So it's a real cool idea, though. I think it's really neat, and I think it should be encouraged.
Yeah, I definitely play my PS4 very regularly. I think I'm split between PC and PS4 pretty evenly. The thing is, I actually just started doing a GameFly subscription a month or two ago for the first time. So comparing the two, going to the store versus waiting for a game to arrive, there is that convenience factor, like you mentioned, Mike. I could literally walk to my GameStop too if I wanted to. It's a bit of a schlep, but it's fine.
Right, on the way home, they have
exactly.
Hours.
It'd be on the way home from work. Yeah, it'd be fine.
Yeah.
Thing is, I think GameFly has that kind of appeal where literally as soon as the game is out, you can get it. You don't have to wait for someone to buy it, then send it back and have a pre-owned version for you. So there's a bit of a trade-off, but honestly, I could see myself doing this kind of thing. That's not cool. That's not bad, because I do think rental options are really limited these days outside of GameFly, because Blockbuster went the way of the dinosaur, and there's none of those around anymore. I have a chain.
Before we finish that, did anyone see that thing on Twitter where it was share a picture of what your Blockbuster turned into? And it was it was multiple thousands of tweets of people just taking pictures of what their local It was really funny. A bunch of them were
that's awesome.
A bunch of them were vape shops and adult stores. It was really fantastic.
Funny.
That's kind of sad, but kind of funny at the same time. but yeah, I could see myself doing that kind of thing, because really the only other rental option near me here in Northeast Ohio in the Cleveland area, there's Family Video, but they're hard to find, and they're like Blockbuster, but they're actually doing fine. They're relevant. They're doing okay, but they're not super common. So it'd actually be more convenient to rent from GameStop.
I mean, we have red boxes here, and I'm sure there's red boxes by you guys as well.
All over.
Yeah. And so those have games, but the library is obviously very limited. Whereas in GameStop, you've got a lot of stuff, and oftentimes I'm sure you could find some obscure things in there as well. The one downside, of course, is that GameStop not frequently, but I imagine every 3-4 years cycles through its inventory, especially as a new console is released. Obviously they don't have PS2 games anymore. You can't go in and find those. So PS3 is your best bet, and upward. And I imagine they don't have any. They might have Vita, but I doubt they'd have.
I wouldn't count on it. Vita games are so hard to find.
Yeah. So in that regard, if you're using a somewhat older system, a GameFly might still be superior. By the way, I've been meaning to check up on this, and they finally announced the PS Plus games for September, and it does include Infamous Second Son, so I'm very excited.
I'm pretty happy about that.
I've been wanting to play it, actually.
That's really
and
cool.
Also, the Riggs game, which is a VR game. So if you have the PlayStation VR, you got a free game. Congratulations.
Nice. I think Strike Vector is one of them too. And I was pretty
Vector.
Like,
yeah,
excited to check that out.
Though.
It's like some kind of space fighting game, I guess. But yeah, Second Son was great. I played it. It was one of the first games I bought for my PS4. It was like a launch title.
Whereas,
I traded it a while ago. No, that's all right.
I was going to say, you can tell that like PlayStation 3 is the redhead stepchild now, because the games coming out in September for PS Plus are Truck Racer and Handball 2016. That's
Jesus.
That's an actual thing.
What a thrilling lineup. Yeah.
I mean, at this point, if you're still on the PS3.
Yeah, I try to use my PS3 when I can, but it's just like it's so irrelevant these days. It's kind of hard to find an excuse to play it. Yeah, and I hold on to mine. I'm holding on to mine for a while, but
I've got some. They had some good PS Plus games come out for it. They had like a Yakuza game come out for it a couple of months ago, which is pretty cool. But yeah, it's little slim pickings.
Yeah.
All right, so I think that is it. Let's talk about Bethesda real quick again before we jump into the AR VR thing. This one had me scratching my head a little bit. This is really weird. Bethesda rolled out paid mods today. I'm sorry, not today, the 28th. They rolled out the 28th. It's something called the Creation Club, where basically you can submit a mod. The mod is then reviewed by Bethesda, make sure it's super awesome and works and doesn't like break the game or whatever. And then it comes out on that store and people can buy it.
I believe there's an episode of this very show when they first announced the Creation Club where I said, mark my words, they're going to try and sell you mods that are free on PC.
And here it is.
And I was fucking right. I knew this. And it is
vindication.
It's not even vindication anymore. It is so transparent with it. Like, it is so unbelievably disgusting that they're actually doing this though. Like,
so you have to take a shower.
I do. I have to actually leave this plane of existence to find a shower that will fully clean me.
A quantum soul shower.
A quantum soul shower that will actually remove this timeline from my body.
The crazy thing is they don't call it paid mods, which kind of blows my mind.
Of course they don't.
No, why would they?
But it's what it is. Like
they are trying to rebrand it because they are trying to they're really spinning that fact like, oh, but you're making it. You, the players, are creating this content. That's why it's like the word creation. I'm a journalist, so I think about words and what they mean a lot. So it's like creation, the word club. It's inclusive. It's personal. It's all about branding. It's all marketing.
Very marketed experience.
Yeah, extremely
marketed experience.
Extremely. So like I'm sitting here looking at the Creation Club situation. I'm just like, it's bullshit. I know, I'm getting it, but like also I'm not surprised at all because like it's Bethesda. They want to make money, and this to be honest, it's actually a pretty smart way to make money. It's actually pretty smart when you bring people into it and make them feel like they're contributing to this, to society, to the game community.
And plus, it's great when you only make one game every 5 years. So it
perfect.
It really helps with the old cash flow.
It's all aces for them. It's all aces.
That slow? Are they really that slow?
Okay, I'm sorry. You only make one game that people give a shit about every 5 years.
Okay, there we go.
You only make one Fallout Skyrim every 5 years.
Jay, don't forget about Elder Scrolls Online.
No, I did. I'd already forgotten. Trust me.
What? What's that? No.
Elder Scrolls 2.
I was going to say this. What determines the price of the mod? Because that's not really clear to me from the story.
I actually don't know.
No one knows. That's the thing. It's all very confusing, and it's stupid, and they should stop. Like, that's what I would say. Like,
it's because it's
and like really half of this shit that I'm reading that they have like predict like here's so Bethesda's official stance. The kin to these aren't paid mods, even though they're obviously paid mods. Initial batch of content, mostly kitschy reskins and spends on existing things. The two most novel items, Power Horse armor and Morgan Yu's suit from Prey. I guarantee you those were like day one on Nexus mods on PC. Like both of those things existed day one on Nexus mods, and it's Oh my god, it's so stupid. All right.
Well, the Prey one wouldn't have because that's a new game, but that I get your point.
But
it is poaching stuff on the PC and then charging for it. I'm getting that, and I'm with you on it. I will make one point in defense of Creation Club, and hear me out on this. They're giving the community the tools to create, and that's good in and of itself. And they're leaving room for people to make mods that they don't plan to monetize. So there's room for free mods to be made through this system. That's obviously not what they intend. That's not what they want. Probably not how it's going to turn out, but they're at least leaving room for that. So it's like kind of giving you the option to send your mod through the chain, the production process, and maybe getting money from it. But they're leaving room for that free mod community. So I can give them credit for that, I guess.
And they're not just
tentatively,
which is good.
Well, so my
until they do, then it's
until they do.
Well, that's yeah.
So the first thing is again, I want to understand how the monetary thing is being decided and how much it's being split between the modders and Bethesda. Is like 50-50? Is it 70-30?
I would guess it's closer to 70-30. That's what I would guess.
70-30 70 modders, 30 Bethesda, or 70
30
Bethesda?
modder.
70 Bethesda, 30 modder. They're not going to.
Yeah, come on. Let's think here. Yeah.
If it's 50-50, I would be shocked. And
I
would be shocked if it was 50-50. And I would eat a hat on camera if they give more money to the modders than to the company. Like, I can't imagine a world in which that happens. Like,
if I had to hazard a guess, I'd probably say 40 modders, 60 Bethesda would make sense to me.
40, 60, 70, 30, something like that. Like,
something like that. Yeah.
The other question to me is, and as the article points out, most of the mods are, just reskins of stuff. Could you mod in actual like gameplay? Because again, it's not really clear from the story. Like, could you do an entire quest line?
I don't think so. I'm guessing because this all seems very like this doesn't seem as robust as PC modding, obviously.
Right. And so, like, if it's just a reskin, that's pretty ho-hum boring. Like, unless you
it seems like it's mostly going to
really care.
Yeah, and that's what it's mostly going to be, I feel like. And honestly, like, that's mostly what mods are on PC is reskin. Like, you get the mods every once in a while that are like big additional gameplay content and stuff. Like, that does happen, but that's if you go onto Nexus mods and search Skyrim mods, the first 80 pages are just how to make characters appear naked or HD reskins. Like, it's those two things. Like, and that's not even sarcastic. Like, it's just a bunch of HD retextures and nudity mods. Like,
I remember when I remember when I first got Skyrim on PC, way after I got it on PS3, and I was looking at mods, and it's like, it's all weapons, it's all HD or like graphic overhauls. That's like the majority of it. Skins, and then like if you dig deep enough or if people care enough, they'll make what is it called, Endoril, or what's that huge? Yeah, like these giant add-ons that are basically new games. Those are really rare, and I don't think that's what Creation Club is meant like with in mind.
I don't think so either. But like I think it'll be cool to see what the console community comes up with. It'll be interesting to see how curated it becomes, like, because it does have to be like okayed, unlike PC mods where like you're never gonna see the Macho Man Randy Savage Dragons mod for Skyrim on PS4. Like,
damn it!
Unfortunately, we're never gonna
waiting for that one.
Well, that's a real mod on PC.
I know.
Oh yeah,
real mod.
Literally. It's the greatest mod anyone's ever created.
It's almost as good as the Thomas the Tank Engine Dragons.
Oh, that was very strong too. Yeah. Can we talk about Half-Life?
Yes, let us talk about Half-Life.
I'm not ready to cry again, Rich. I cried already over this. I don't want to cry again. Why you gotta do this?
It's time. That's because Valve wants you to feel bad.
Valve wants your tears.
Valve,
So this is a two-part story. Really, or even a three-part, depending on how you look at it. Where we're going to talk about Half-Life 3. So let's break things down here. The first part of the story begins with a writer that left Valve. His name is Marc Ladilaw, if I'm pronouncing that right.
Yeah, I think so.
And so he left Valve, I want to say like a year or two ago. Am I right? I feel like
That sounds about right. Yeah.
He left a little while ago. He's it's not recent, and he was during his time at Valve the lead writer for the Half-Life series. And so, he's been gone from the company a little while, and he released on Pastebin, I believe, a fictional letter with gender swapping in it, where he basically outlines the plot for Half-Life 2 Episode 3.
Gertrude Friedman and Alex, because Alex is a name that can be for either. And it's basically it's the outline for Half-Life 3. What he would have
what he would have done. Right. And so he called it Epistle 3, basically.
It sounds pretty fucking cool. Like, it's a game I would play.
Right.
Valve. I would give you money for this. Valve.
Oh, yeah.
I would fork over money for this. Valve.
Do you like money or not, Valve? Because I'm offering you some.
I mean, they like money, but they don't need to make Half-Life to make money. So.
Yeah, they like money, but they don't care about Jay Rich's money. No. Or my money or your money, for that matter. I
guess. Yeah, I'm realizing that.
I mean, we all have a Steam account. They care about our money. They just know they don't need to release Half-Life to keep paying.
Right. So this obviously release set the internet on fire, and at least the gaming community portion, our little corner of the internet, was set ablaze with this news. You can, of course, find the Pastebin link. We'll provide it if people need it for whatever reason to read it for yourself. But two interesting things happened once this was released. The first thing is basically a contest was created by, I want to say, who was it? Let me see. Oh, so the developer Laura Miche, who was behind Frog Fractions 2. And if you don't know what that is, go find out. It's kind of awesome. Although the first one's kind of better, but whatever. And they basically, she created the Pistol 3 game jam. All right. So she said, fuck Valve. We've waited 11 years. Let's just do this ourselves. We got this. We have the outline. We have the story. So let's just create the gameplay.
And you have the source engine.
Yeah, theoretically you can, but you can just make it if you want to. And I don't even know, of any company, I feel like even if you just called it Half-Life 3, I don't think Valve would even, Valve's not going to issue you a takedown notice. If there's any company that wouldn't. It would be Valve that would be like, all right, unless they are actually working on the game, which they 100% are not. So
I don't think they are. I don't think anyone thinks they're working on the game at this point. So
and if they aren't, they wouldn't really have much reason to.
Well, I mean, there's other companies that definitely would.
I can see Valve being cool with it, but I can also see them being not cool with it. So it's a toss up for me.
So
I was thinking if there's any company that wouldn't, I think it would be Valve, but I don't know. I don't know how it would turn out.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So there's 2 months to the game jam, right? Submissions are due by October 31st. 139 individuals have joined the game jam thus far, with already 4 entries. Now, some of them, of course, tongue-in-cheek. But
it's the internet.
Yeah. But I don't know. I'm kind of intrigued. I want to see what comes out of this. I'm really hoping that,
maybe we get something good.
Maybe there is hope after all. So
it's not what people want.
No, it's not going to be. It's not going to be what it should have been. But
no, it's not going to be Half-Life 3. Well, I mean, it's not going to be Half-Life 3 because it's not going to have that level of time put into it.
I could see.
It comes down to.
I could see if there was one breakout title of this, I could kind of see them getting their own Kickstarter and doing it. I kind of see that happening if something good is made.
If something good is made, I think it's going to be some dude who's been sitting on a Half-Life 3 fan project for 4 years, just making it himself, and then he's just like, "Oh shit, this is my moment, guys!"
and there's plenty of those out there. There's a bunch of those scripts sitting half finished or 3/4 finished. Someone's coded half of it already.
Yeah,
it just takes I think it takes something like this to bring people together, to give them a common purpose. Use the source engine; it's right there. You can do it if you want. So yeah, I'm feeling a Jim Carrey from Dumb and Dumber. So you're saying there's a chance,
right?
That's what I'm feeling right now. Just let's, fingers crossed. I'm not gonna try and get my hopes up again because Gaben just crushed them. But we'll see. We'll see what they come up with. Yeah.
So basically, our hope lies with you, the internet. who never disappoints us.
Never.
Not once. Not even once.
Never happened.
Never happened. To make something good, and all we can do is hope for the best. But there is one final part of this story, and it is a segment that we like to call Enter the Salt Mines.
It's really Enter the Salt Mines Part 2, because we already did the Bethesda story, and I feel like we breached the salt mines with the Bethesda story.
We kind of live in the salt mines, I feel like. We're pretty salty all the time.
Well, that's because of the stories Mike chooses. Mike's just like, what stories are going to piss these guys off the most if I put them up here? You know what?
That's the strategy. We're on to you.
Week? There's a Kotaku article, Mike, that I know you didn't choose, because the title is, "Hey guys, No Man's Sky is good now." And you didn't fucking choose that one, did you?
Yeah, where's that article, Mike?
Caught red-handed and caught
We're on to you.
That article was never going to get chosen.
No.
I could talk about that all day long. Bring it on. I could talk about that all day long.
That person.
I don't believe that person's a liar. Is what
a liar.
That person's
filthy.
That person's right here.
It was you son of a bitch. You found out who wrote it.
So, back to Enter the Salt Mines. Steam reviewers bombed Dota 2 over the lack of Half-Life 3. So basically, a bunch of people all of a sudden remembered that Half-Life 3 hasn't come out yet.
Thanks to Mr. Laidlaw, basically.
Yes.
People were like, wait a minute.
They decided to take sweet revenge by basically giving Dota 2 a poor rating on Steam. Unfortunately, there wasn't even enough people to really bring down the score, which I thought was really funny. Even though I'm not sure how many people posted. Hundreds, it looks like. But hold
on, I'm gonna open Steam right now. Hang on,
I want to say hundreds, if not thousands, of people gave Dota 2 a 1-star review out of anger.
I'd say between 1,000 and 5,000, probably. That's just a guess. Just knowing how many people actually care about that.
The score of Dota 2 is virtually unaffected.
No, I'm logged into Steam on my other computer. It's not going to let me log in on this one because
it's not going to be touched.
Shitty fucking program. But
I can tell you.
Dota 2 is the score is not going to be affected. There's been way too many people that have reviewed that game, and also I haven't seen their acquisition numbers, but I can't imagine a game that's that old and that successful has very high acquisition rates of new players. They've pretty much got the players. They focus more on getting lapsed players back than getting new players, I think. Same with League of Legends.
Yeah.
Riot,
they kind of have what they're going to have.
Well, right. Riot's been really clear about that with them too. They're not courting new players. They're trying to have high retention, and they're trying to get back lapsed players. That's why you never see ads for League of Legends or Dota 2.
I actually do see ads for League of Legends. I don't know if they're really new. Yeah, on YouTube they're starting to show up. I don't know if you haven't noticed them.
So I was going to say I pulled up Dota 2, and so recently there's been about 19,000 reviews that are quote unquote mixed. So of the most recent 19,000 reviews, a lot of them are negative. Unfortunately, the game has almost 750,000, actually a little more than 750,000 reviews, and those are very positive. So it doesn't really matter. Yeah. And more importantly, I don't think I don't think Valve gives a shit. Dota is making them money hand over fist.
Yeah,
people are
they're crying into their Benjamins over that.
Exactly. They don't care.
Who cares?
Just get over it.
It's a classic knee jerk, pissy. Just we need to take out our anger somehow. And
I mean, it's funny. It's funny that
it is funny
they chose. Because why?
What the hell does Dota 2 have to do with episode 3?
It's the only game that Valve owns, I guess, now that's actually actively in development. Valve doesn't have any games in early access. This could have actually
besides this.
Yeah, this
and the card game, the trading card game.
Right.
Let's try to artificially.
This could have been actually interesting if Valve was if Valve had just released Left 4 Dead 3 now in early access, and then just immediately 19,000 bad reviews, that would crush a game like that.
That would have been cool. Right. That would have been cool to watch. It's
funny, but they're doing it to Dota 2. That's there's no way you're ever gonna meaningfully impact this game's revenue stream.
Yeah. it's kind of sad to decide to just try to artificially deflate the ranking of this mountain of a game because
it's a Sisyphean task. You're not.
It's because it's there. Like that's like the only reason it's there, and we're bored. We're bored. That's all it is.
So, in the interest of time, we have to keep it moving.
Yeah, let's get to the.
Not that I can, trash Steam for another. No, not Steam. Valve for another. 30 minutes, but we have a lot of AR VR stories to talk about, so we're going to try and keep this concise and simplified as much as possible. So first up, Asus is releasing a mixed reality headset, and the story talks about it being priced on the steep side, and by that they mean it's I think it's $535 based on the UK price. We don't know the official US price. I don't know if it would be like $499 or something like that.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
but
$499,
considering
$549 something.
Yeah. Considering that your like only other real option for like a good AR headset is HoloLens, and that's like $3,000. I don't think this is such a bad price.
Yeah, considering like just looking at the design here, considering what's inside it, like what it includes and kind of the technology that goes into it, that seems pretty reasonable for being, ostensibly at least on the cutting edge of this mixed reality thing, which I'm actually not too familiar with how that all works. I'm guessing it kind of involves the actual outside world and the projected world kind of merging, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
So
it's something that has cameras on the headset, so you're seeing your surroundings, and then you're seeing graphics imposed on top of, but like in a seamless sort of way, not like in a Photoshop sort of way.
Yeah, so I'm not too shocked by that
really
price.
Advanced Snapchat filters.
Right.
It's a really expensive Snapchat machine, is what you're paying for.
Correct.
Wow. Okay. Well, when you put it that way, that is kind of a bullshit price. But
yeah,
I thought you were going to say when you put it that way, sign me up. That was
psycho. Gotcha.
$535 for Snapchat.
So, I mean, a lot of people, and when I say a lot of people, I mean a lot of developers are starting to sort of see AR, and I want to say developers, I mean like both commercial, like people that design like engineering programs, and also people who make video games, are sort of starting to embrace AR almost a little bit over VR, and personally makes me a little worried because I feel like VR hasn't been given its, it hasn't really come to fruition yet. But this is a cool piece of tech. And even though it's definitely outside of, the average person's pocketbook or wallet, whatever you want to say, it's still a really, really huge step down over what people were paying before. Right. And it's coming with the controllers that were designed by Microsoft, because Microsoft designed its own VR controllers that work in AR as well. So this is kind of cool, honestly.
Mm-hmm. And if it's successful in any way, I think we'll just see it get cheaper as technology, gets more prevalent. So, it only gets better from there, I guess.
On the flip side of things, Acer, right? Not Asus, Acer is also releasing a VR headset. Again, they're using Microsoft controllers, and it's going to be compatible with Steam VR or Oculus VR games. So I think this is really cool. It's a lot cheaper than the Oculus VR. If you had just the headset with the controllers, it's very close. It's $400, and I think the Oculus is about $400 right now. Then they reduced the price.
I believe so. Yeah,
I believe they did. But it's good to see competition. Competition always drives the price down. So I'm still excited about this. Let me just check the price of the Oculus. I'm kind of curious.
Yeah, for sure. I've been waiting for like kind of an entry level platform to
400.
Okay, gotcha. But yeah, this Microsoft VR platform, and it seems like an actual excuse to really get into AR and VR, because like I've been lukewarm on it for a long time and kind of waiting for the price to drop to get in on the ground floor, and it's starting to look like that's becoming a possibility to me, at least.
Right now, the question for me is, do I wait for the second wave of the second hardware iteration, or do I buy in on the first iteration now that it's cheaper? That's where I'm at on the fence right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I get you.
The other interesting thing is that Google recently released their own version of AR called ARCore. And basically, this uses a very powerful AR device that everyone has access to, their smartphone. And this is really cool. So think about, I think the easiest example is Pokemon Go, right? When you play Pokemon Go, you can have the Pokemon appear in the real world. So it uses your camera and then inserts the Pokemon wherever you happen to be looking. Same idea, except they released an SDK, so now developers can make all sorts of whatever program they want work through your phone. And this is, I think, going to bring AR way, way more into the public consciousness. I don't even think that people playing Pokemon Go thought of it as AR at all.
Right.
So I really want to see what now that sort of the doors have been opened and software has gotten to the point where because you used to need specialized hardware to do AR stuff on the phone. Now software takes care of all of it. So Pandora's box is opened, and I'm really curious to see what comes next.
Yeah, I really think it is a cutting edge thing that we're seeing right now, because I think that when Pokemon exploded the way it did, became the cultural phenomenon that it was, augmented reality as a term wasn't really a common, common usage yet.
Anyone thought of it that way.
Yeah, and I think this might get that ball rolling where augmented reality becomes, as an accepted avenue for technology, and when you put it in people's pockets like that, that's what's going to happen. People are just going to catch on to it, I think. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty interesting to me.
Are you excited about this one, Jay, or you're just kind of taking a wait and see approach?
Wait and see. Everyone who listens knows my feelings on VR and AR in general. Like, I think, like, in theory, I'm the market for it. Like, I'm the guy who spends way too much money on PC hardware and always likes to be on the cutting edge of stuff. But like, it's just been such a mixed bag for me so far in my experience with it. Like, there's been some really cool stuff with VR and some stuff that's just like, oh, this is just garbage that you're paying a lot of money for. So,
right.
I think that AR probably has a better chance to succeed in the like the mass public, like the mass market, than VR does. Just because I think people can grasp what AR is easier. I think, like, especially with the like Pokemon Go and all of those games, like, people are more likely to understand what AR is. Whereas like VR, it's really hard to explain VR to someone who's never used a headset without giving them like face on time with it. Like, you can tell them like, oh, it's a fully immersive experience and you really like, but that doesn't really tell them what it feels like to play a VR game.
Yeah,
with an AR thing, you can just be like, go on your phone and type in AR to your app store and like just see what comes up and try it out. Yeah, and see if you'd be interested in like a more immersive version of that. So
I've been a very on the fence, wait and see sort of person on VR and AR in general for a while now. But just like what we're talking about right now, I'm starting to see it like become mainstream the way that I wanted it to before I got involved in it, before I got invested in it. It's starting to look that way. For a long time, it wasn't looking that way at all for me. So I was kind of that way too.
One of the interesting things to me, and this is sort of almost a tangent, on Facebook, I'm starting to see an advertisement for an AR mobile game. I don't know if you guys have seen this, where it's it bills itself as a spell casting AR game where you use your phone to cast spells on your friends in real time. So that's kind of cool. The fact that that advertisement is there. I don't know how targeted they made it, so maybe it shows up for me more so than other people. But the fact that that's a thing and it's showing up on Facebook is already an indication that we're heading towards that place where it's going to become more and more prominent in our everyday lives. And it kind of makes me think of almost Black Mirror.
Right.
I still need to watch that, actually.
You haven't seen Black Mirror?
Oh, Black Mirror, great.
It's on my list. There's so much TV, dude. There's so much. It's on my list, though.
There is, but you seriously need to carve out some time.
When I finish Sense8, that might be my next show.
You will like this way more than Sense8.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, Sense8's pretty awesome, so we'll see.
You'll come back. Be like,
I'll come back.
You're right. But yeah, so I'm really excited about this, and I'm very curious about our listening audience. How do you guys feel about AR? Do you care? Do you care about AR versus VR, or is it all like background noise and you just care about the latest console, PC game, whatever it is? Hit us up at PAK Podcast, PAK Podcast, and as always, there might be something in it for you if you do.
Yeah.
So
True.
Having said that, let's talk about our what the fuck stories of the week. And we got a few. The first one is more of a PSA. We've talked about this actually in the past episode, but I figured it warrants being brought up again really quick. September 1st, right around the corner, there will be a worldwide debut of a show on Netflix called Final Fantasy XIV Dad of Light. And it is a Japanese show about a father trying to connect with his son through Final Fantasy XIV. That is the premise of the show.
It actually sounds kind of cool, honestly. Like, it's not so off the wall that you just write it off entirely, but it's also not so boring that you just write it off entirely. It's kind of it's hitting that sweet spot for me where I'm like, I'm kind of sickeningly, like, morbidly curious about it now.
Right. I kind of want to see where it goes.
Yeah.
And so the funny thing to me is that, like, I played a really tiny bit of Final Fantasy XIV, like a couple of hours, and it didn't really grab me. And then something else did, so I kind of stepped away from it. But I feel like I might watch the show and be like, oh, that looks kind of fun. Maybe I'll give it another shot. So I kind of view it as just a giant advertisement for Final Fantasy XIV.
Pretty much.
I'm really surprised it didn't come out in conjunction with the latest expansion, because that would have made like way more sense. But it's still fresh enough, I think, in people's minds that it's going to do much.
Yeah, probably.
I know I'm going to be tuning in and then laughing my ass off at how terrible I anticipate.
Right.
It's one of those joke watch kind of things. Like, let's just watch it as a joke and see how.
Well, you start watching it as a joke, and then people are going to get hooked, I'm sure.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. I know Jay is going to be like standing by with like a countdown timer, waiting for this thing to go live on the servers.
Sure. Very excited. Very much looking forward to this.
Moving on. An assistant professor at the I think it's the University of Arizona. Let me see if I'm remembering that correctly. Yes, University of Arizona has had their PhD revoked over a flawed video game study. This is basically his study. He had people, I think the 151 college students, they filled out a questionnaire where they were asked about like their feeling towards guns and their relationship with video games, both of those things. Then they played one of three games. They played Resident Evil 4, We Play, or Super Mario Galaxy. Those three games. After they played those three games, immediately after, they then got a gun that fired airsoft bullets, not real bullets, at a Velcro-covered mannequin 20 feet away. And basically, what the result of all of this was that the people who played either We Play or Resident Evil 4 with a gun controller, because you can play those games with a gun controller,
right,
completed the most headshots on their target, and the people who played Super Mario Galaxy did much less headshots. And so the professor looked at this data and said, video games are training people to kill each other with guns. This man's brilliant. Just absolutely genius.
How did he become an assistant professor? Like, that's what I'm wondering. Like, how did he get that far with that kind of research habit and credibility? That's just wow.
Yeah,
that's pretty bad.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously, in 2015, researchers started finding errors with the data. The thing that kills me, Connor, is that this guy he isn't really being like punished or anything like that. Like he's not, like, so they're trying to replicate the study now, but he was cleared of, let's see, the OSU employee. Yeah, right. So it's both of them. They were cleared of any wrongdoing. So it's not so much that my understanding is not so much that they fabricated their numbers. It was just sort of like it was wrong somehow, but
right.
It's weird, right? Like,
yeah, it strikes me as like lazy research. It's like not necessarily like malicious, like they lied, just more like they just kind of skipped, like fact finding and due diligence. That's what it sounds like to me. So yeah, I'm not saying like this guy needs to lose his job or anything, but like it's definitely good that you revoke a PhD over this kind of research.
Right.
I would want that for any study that's lackluster, not necessarily a video game one.
Well, yeah, but anyone who's in that level of at that level of education and what's the word I'm looking for? Like trustedness,
scholarly,
scholarly,
whatever.
That level of being respected and being like understood as an expert in your field. Like, I think you need to be held to a higher standard.
Oh, but for sure.
The crazy thing to me is that like it's just such a flawed study. Like if you practice doing anything in the video game, you're probably going to get better at it in real life.
Sure.
Not within reason. You know what I mean? Like I'm not saying you're going to become a pro, but if I practice an action using a specific controller that tries to recreate the motion or the feel of said action, obviously I'm going to get better. Just because I play a violent video game doesn't mean I want to go outside and start shooting people. That's still such a flawed concept that like people can't seem to let go of, and it drives me insane.
Well, I mean, I've thought a lot about this, obviously. Like I was, the kid who was playing video games and listening to heavy metal, the same year that Columbine happened. So I was very like argumentative and angry towards all the adults who wanted to like talk like they knew something about it. So like I've thought a lot about this. I don't think you can like I don't think that like video games lead to violence. Neither does any media or anything. But I don't think you can like fully divorce them from any responsibility of adding to that culture of violence. Like I thought about this a lot when John Wick came out, and I know it's not a video game, it's a movie, but like when there are these like movies or video games or comic books or whatever that have the heroes doing cool stuff with guns and like looking really cool and really slick and being this cool hero that everyone wants to be, you are glorifying that. Like you are glorifying murdering a bunch of people with a gun, like because you make it look so cool. Now, do I think that can be blamed when some kid, grabs a gun and shoots up his school? No, absolutely not. That person clearly had other problems in their head. And just because they were exposed to that piece of media, like if it wasn't that, it was going to be something else. So
I think it comes back to mental and emotional adjustment more than anything else. But there are things that can contribute to someone's, maladjustment.
I loved both the John Wick movies, and I love all of the like violent games that I play. Like I've been playing a lot of PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, and I've been playing a lot of the Destiny 2 beta, which are two games where ostensibly you go get a bunch of guns for the explicit purpose of murdering other people. Like that's what the games are about. Right. And like obviously I'm well adjusted enough not to be like, oh, I too would like to go grab a gun and shoot people. And I don't think that you should ever blame media for that or art for that. Like that would be like blaming the Crusades on paintings of people. Like, it's like you can't fully blame them, but you also can't like, you can't be like what I was like in high school, which is like, fuck you, dad, video games never did anything wrong. Like you also can't, I'm going to go listen to Linkin Park. Like you can't, you can't be that person at the age of 30 either. Like
you got to consider the factors, but it'll definitely always come back to the ability of people to divorce fantasy from reality.
Right. Like, and just because there are people who can't do that doesn't mean we should just stop producing fantasy that
exactly. Yeah, it comes down to education. It comes down to mental well-being, but there's also, you have to be able to have that conversation of like, is my material responsible? Is my material mature? Is it like, violence for art's sake, or is it just violence for violence sake? That kind of thing.
Right.
So there's conversations to have about it.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
Sure. But yeah, that got a little bit more serious than normally our WTF stories do, but
no, I think you really gave a nuanced opinion there, Jay, and I appreciate it. Thankfully, our last story, not so serious. Really fucking scary.
Pretty serious.
Yeah, it's gonna get dark.
Yeah, it's gonna get very dark. It's darkest year of our
fair
That's
warning.
That's true. So, KFC has decided that it would be a good idea for new employees to learn how to make chicken, how to cook the KFC chicken in a virtual reality game. So they commissioned a horrifying escape the room type game. The logic being that in the escape the room game, it only takes about 10 minutes. In real life, it takes about 25 minutes, apparently. This thing is frightening. So frightening that my cat is now here to comfort me. I don't know if you guys can because that's how frightened I am to talk about this game. If you can call it that.
Right.
Wow. Words.
Yeah. It'll shoot your blood pressure through the roof faster than KFC actual food will.
It will make you want to stop working at KFC. Like, this was a bad idea. I'm out. Thanks, guys. Thanks, but no thanks.
It really gives me that We Happy Few kind of feel. That game where it's like everyone's wearing a mask and like, if you're not happy all the time and like on this drug, you're like, they kill you. It just gives me that like really dystopian, like, welcome to the Colonel's house. Like, we're so happy to have you here kind of thing.
Yeah.
So creepy. It's one of the creepiest things ever.
It's kind of like BioShock, but creepier mixed with, an escape the room style game. And I don't want to really give it away. It's only an 8-minute video. Just kind of watch it. Consider it our early Halloween present to you. I know it's only like...
You're not even breading that shit. What are you doing? They're just throwing it in the fryer without even breading it. Sorry. That bothered me. It's like, where's the secret spices? Where are the herbs and spices?
I mean, they're not going to put that in. They're not going to let you know what those are. Well,
yeah.
Oh, you're right, Jay. Yeah, it's corporate secrets.
Corporate secrets.
Yeah, that's right.
Of course.
I'm so glad I have you, cat, to comfort me. If you're watching the video version of this, you can see the cat like nuzzling me. But yeah, this will haunt your nightmares for a couple of days after you watch it.
Oh yeah,
you're welcome.
Oh yeah,
you're welcome.
From us to you.
That's right. We're givers. That's what we are. So that is all the show we have for you. As always, we really appreciate it if you like, subscribe, or comment below. Until next time, I have been your host, Michael Schluger.
I've been Connor Howard.
And I'm Jay Rich.
Have a great week of gaming. Push a lot of keys for us, and good luck trying to get to sleep tonight.
After that
Until
shit.
Next time.
Good luck. Oh man. Peace be with you.
This has been a production of the GWW Radio Network. Please don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review us on iTunes, Stitcher, and SoundCloud. Also, check out Geeks Worldwide at thegww.com for all the latest news, reviews, and opinions on video games, comics, movies, TV, cosplay, and more. Geeks Assemble!